in this episode, we're going to talk about the future of consumer cameras. Okay, so a lot of people start to buy more and more. I mean, more and more people start to buy consumer cameras instead of cinema cameras. Ibrahim, you shot a short film with an A7S,
Yes,
right?
right.
And
Right.
what is missing with your film? Is it like, do you need an Arri Alexa to make your film perfect, or like what is lacking in your film? Do you think lacking a cinema camera is what's missing in your film? Is it gonna make your film better if you would have shot it on a cinema camera?
To be honest, not really. It's not gonna make the story better. It's not gonna make the cinematography better. It's not gonna make my lighting better. It's gonna give me a little bit of quality and quote unquote filmic look, because Arri Alexas and these cinema cameras have better dynamic range, but it's not gonna change anything on the big scheme of things. And I feel like yeah, that's the short answer. And the long answer is I mean, there is a bit of difference, but on the big scheme of things, when you look at the big picture, is there a difference really? In my opinion, not really. What do you think? What's your thought on this as well?
So earlier, before we started the podcast, me and Ibrahim were talking about like the difference between these two, and I think that it really depends, like the importance of both sides. Okay, these hybrid camera, let's call it hybrid camera, like cameras that can take both photos and videos, versus cinema camera, which are cameras that can only take videos, shoot videos, right? Now, the consumer market, more and more people start to, there are more and more audience on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and most of the videos and photos on these platforms are taken on consumer level cameras and smartphones as well. So I think the shift is going to happen because of the viewers. The viewers are the one who affect us filmmakers. Like we choose our tools based on the viewers. So I think, and at one point, the majority of people, like I think even hybrid cameras, I think even these mirrorless camera is gonna become some sort of a minority in the future. I think smartphones is gonna be like the mainstream. It's gonna be like 80%, 9% of all of the videos that you see everywhere. That's how good smartphones are gonna be like. Because if you look at how digital camera took over film, that's the exact same way. Whenever you start to have a new tool, it always has a lesser quality, but the good side of it is it's cheaper, it's faster. It's always like that. Bad quality, but cheaper and faster. That's the case with smartphones. But in today, 2021, you start to see smartphones being able to shoot raw photos, Dolby Vision. It's amazing 4K quality, and you can even shoot S-Log. So when digital took over film, when the took over starts, it is because when digital's quality started to become like insanely better. That's when digital just rise. And right now, if we want to compare smartphone versus a cinema camera and these hybrid mirrorless camera, that's the exact same thing that happened. Smartphones suddenly just become, not suddenly, but it just gradually become way better than before. And the thing is, it still has the same pros, which is faster, cheaper. Because smartphones is not just a smart, like it's not just a camera. It's a tool for you to communicate. You can do a lot of stuff with it. But cameras are just camera, right? So the benefit of smartphones are, for filmmakers, the camera is starting to get insanely good, but it has all the good side of it. That's why I think in the next 5 years, most probably like 80%, more than 80% of the things that you see, literally like videos that you see everywhere, is going to be shot on smartphone. I believe that like especially iPhones, they're going to take over a huge chunk of filmmaking because of like this the rise of content creation. iPhones, it's going to be
I 100% agree with you. And I think like part of the advancement is gonna be very much related to software. So when it comes to improving cameras, there's hardware and there's software, right? And I feel like it's way easier to improve the software, which is gonna make your cameras produce a much higher quality video and photos than improving the hardware. Because when it comes to hardware, you have to really go down into the nitty gritty of the details of the physical aspect of the camera, and that's really hard to manipulate, right? And one of the reasons the smartphone cameras look really really good is that because they've been working on the software of these cameras for quite a while, and they have been able to
Yes.
allow these smartphones to match to kind of reach the level of these consumer cameras, right? These big cameras like the Sony cameras and so on. And so yeah, I think one of the things that we're gonna witness more in the future is more of a software advancements and more features. Like if you look at the Sony A1, right? Like the autofocus on that camera is freaking crazy. They added all these like autofocus points in order for it to be so accurate. Like it will be able, the camera can focus on you at any in any circumstance. And so we're gonna see more of that in the future, I think, than improvements on the hardware, because of the size, right? Like because it shrinks the size, and at the same time it allows the cameras to be more portable, and at the same time reach a higher quality of production. And yeah.
I think when you look at even for mirrorless camera, a lot of these new like A1, Sony A1 or the A7S3, a lot of these features are like software features. You know, they have better autofocusing.
Yeah.
They have better like
Yeah.
picture profiles. These are all softwares. So as you said, I cannot agree with you more. Like I think software is like the main feature right now. And the thing with software is that it's kind of like something that they can just update it, and you don't need to take the whole physical product to them and have them like fix it for you. They can just basically, it's like the idea they just send a new equipment to you in a way, right? Like they just send
it's
a
convenient
new tool to you, but wirelessly. And
right.
you look at the exactly. That's one of the main thing with smartphone. Again, it's like you can just download this app and then it's gonna give you in like better autofocusing, and it can do new stuff just because of the software. Oh shit! Oh, my.
Well,
my
what's
microphone
happening?
is left. Give me 1 minute.
Things are falling. Yeah, sure.
My microphone just collapsed.
Is it the clamp? Yeah, it's alright. Take your time.
Okay, 2 seconds. And you know, like I heard from the Peter McKinnon podcast with Maddie, the Maddie and Peter McKinnon podcast. They also mentioned about the iPhone. They have this feature where they take a portrait of you and then they can blur the background, right? And Maddie Hapoya, he was asking, when can you have this feature on videos? When can you shoot videos with a very shallow depth of field? And in order to do that, they have to have very good software. Like the whole point of it was software. And also they had this little thing in the camera where they can calculate the distance between you and the phone, so they can know how much they should blur the background and stuff. So it all comes to the technology and the software. Yeah. And like when you see how iPhones they dissect an image, you know, and how they denoise everything. You saw on the presentation, they basically can cut out the subject and then calculate the distance between you and the background, and then they can calculate everything so they can denoise in a very pleasant way, so it doesn't look very digitalized. You know, all of these are software. So I think software is kind of like the future for consumer level cameras.
Yeah, and to be honest, like I've watched a lot of comparison videos, right? Not only just software is gonna be not only software is gonna be the moving needle for these cameras, but also I've noticed that the gap between these high-end cameras and these consumer cameras is becoming really, really small. Like if you look at the Blackmagic now, right? Like I've watched comparison videos between the Blackmagic and the Ari Alexa, and believe me, there's not a lot of difference, dude. Even though the price difference is freaking huge, on the big scheme of things, like when you actually look at the overall quality of the camera, there's really not a lot of big difference between these cameras, right? Like when you compare the Blackmagic, you know, which is like a $2,500 camera with a freaking, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000 cameras, then like that starts to make difference when you look at the big picture, when you look at it from a broader view, right? And yeah, this is one thing that has really been like is really surprising me, is that like this like you needing a high end camera to make a movie is no longer a thing, right? And yeah, not just smartphones are getting better, but also the gap between high end cameras and consumer level cameras
Yeah.
is getting really, really, really tiny, you know.
The thing with
I mean,
consumer,
yeah,
the thing with consumer level camera is that they kind of like when the higher end the camera becomes, the more customizable it is. So when you're at the cinema level camera, you can customize everything, but that's
yeah, yeah,
that's the hard part. You have to know how to customize it. So when you go
yeah,
lower,
yeah.
like the lower you get, everything becomes more and more automated, right? So if you say
Okay,
that
yeah,
the top is cinema camera, the lowest is iPhone camera, smartphone camera. Yes, you look at
yeah,
smartphone camera, everything is automated. You basically just turn on the
yeah,
camera and shoot. So you cannot control anything
yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah,
Like white balance, no,
yeah.
nothing for you. But for cinema camera, it's like you literally have to change everything by yourself, even the focus. You even need a
Yeah,
focus
yeah,
puller
yeah,
to change it. Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's the thing with it. People are more and more not really lazy, but they want to get like hands free. They don't want to care about these small details. Like the machine should know what I
yeah,
want.
yeah,
The machine should know what I want to focus on. They should
yeah,
know
yeah,
what's the correct white balance. So again, I come back to our earlier topic. Like the software is gonna help you decide what is the best image that you can have, and they can help you do it. And for cinema camera, you have to just like customize everything. I guess
yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah, it's not just laziness, but also it's convenience, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
want. I mean, these tools are there to serve me, right? And I want them to serve me at the best way possible, right? And so I don't wanna spend time fiddling with the settings when I want to take the shot. Like I just want to get the shot, you know, at that right moment in time, right? And so I don't want these tools to cause. I don't want to be. I don't want there to be any friction between me and the tools that I'm using, and that's where things are headed right now. Like smartphones are very easy to use and very convenient, and that allows you as a consumer to use them in a way that's much more easier and much more convenient for you. So yeah, and not everybody is a cinematographer, right? People sometimes just want to get things done. Like they
Yeah.
just want to especially on smartphones, they just want to shoot a video or take a photo, and they want it to look good, but they don't necessarily need to know the settings and the shutter speed and the ISO and the right you know, settings in order for them to get a good shot. And yeah, that's where things are headed. Like I guess you could call it easy. Like things are getting easier for the consumer. But that's a good thing, right? I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's a good thing, or um,
I think it kind of means that you can spend more time on the creativity, right? Because these
yes, right, right,
technical aspects are gone
100%.
basically. Like the
Mm-hmm.
companies, they take care of it for you. You just
Yeah,
focus on
yeah,
the story. But that's the part
yeah.
that kind of is getting harder, because back in the day, people when image quality or like everything is expensive to have good image quality, right? Back in the days. So
Yeah, yeah,
you have a
yeah.
bad story with the good image quality, people kind of still gonna watch it just to enjoy the the visuals, right? But nowadays, if when
Mm-hmm.
everything just looks perfect, they're gonna want to know what's good about these. You know, that's why you're gonna have good
Yeah.
stories. So
100%.
I kind of think that it is like it kind of closed the gate, but it's opened another gate for creatives. It's gonna be much more challenging for creatives because anyone can shoot as good as you. Now you're gonna find out what's your personality that's gonna make these visuals have meaning. So creatives gonna be more creative. Otherwise, it's hard.
100%. Yeah, it's gonna become more about your style and your vision rather than your technical skills, if that makes sense. And it's kind of the difference between film and digital now, right? Like film cameras and digital. I heard this somewhere. Is that when you're shooting film, you're more of the cinematographer, right? When you're shooting digital, you're more of a director. You're just choosing what you want, and you can get the shot easy. You're like, okay, I want it at this shutter speed, at this ISO level, and I'm just gonna get this shot at this aperture, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on film, you have to really be careful, and you have to dial your settings properly and think about everything
Just
very
much more
well
technical.
in order for you to get the shot. Yes. So that kind of takes away from your so like your thinking is more about, am I getting the right settings than am I getting
What I want.
am I getting the shot, am I getting what I want? Exactly. But each one of them has its own vibe and its own atmosphere, right? You go for film for that, for this technical aspect, and you wanna spend time on that, and you wanna learn that, and that's why you use film, for instance. And at the same time, you use digital because you wanna be practical and get things done. And and sometimes you use film for nostalgic purposes and for other purposes as well. But generally, like each one of them has its own characteristics, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
I think
it's an interesting
one thing
time,
that you mentioned earlier is that this digital camera are getting so good that it's starting to close the gap between cinema camera and the consumer level camera, right? And for example, like the reason why digital become more and more popular is because it was closing the gap between film and digital. Like when the gap start to close, that's when people realize that, oh, maybe I if I just spend a lot less money, I can get something very, very similar to the thing. Like you mentioned earlier, like these Blackmagic $2,000 camera is, you cannot really tell the difference. For some might get triggered when you say that. Like you cannot really tell the difference between a Arri Alexa. And the thing is, I think for a lot of filmmakers, they should rethink that. Or should I pay extra $20,000 just to get that color that I want? And do you really want that color? Do you really want global shutter? You have to rethink that. Does that really affect your story? Is that worth the money? So you kind of start to ask your question, like, oh, people say, oh, like Arri Alexa is the real, like it has a real true tone, like whatever, it has the best color. Yes, but does the audience appreciate it? Or you're the only one who appreciates it? I'm not saying that it's wrong that you appreciate Arri Alexa's color. I'm just saying that what is the best for your story? If color is what matters to you, then yes, you choose the best color. But if at the end of the day, people only care about your story and you don't have that much money, then you have to rethink about your values. Like you have to rethink. But I think that's very interesting because money at the end of the day it's kind of like the biggest thing that changed everything. People at the end of the day, they feel like, oh, I can save $20,000, so I can for the camera, so I can just spend on maybe the production. I can spend on the props, I can spend on the actors, and the whole production value actually becomes even better just because you save money on the camera, right? That's kind of for your case, right? You could have you kind of borrowed the C100 from the school. Oh, but that was a different case. You had problem with the guy.
Yeah. And also, I mean, speaking of colors as well, like you could, if you shoot raw on the Blackmagic, right, you can very much match the colors of the Arri Alexa. All it requires is some skill set, right? Skill set in color grading, right? And I mean, holy smoke, dude! Like you can literally change the ISO it changed the exposure
Yeah,
in
you can change
post.
the
Like
ISO.
imagine how crazy that is. I mean, what else do you want? Like 32-bit audio or 64-bit audio? I'm not sure if we have that as well. But I'm pretty sure we have 32-bit audio and freaking raw where you can change the exposure. I mean, all you need is a camera that changes focus and you're freaking done, dude.
Yeah.
You're absolutely done.
You know, I saw the YouTuber you told me, Pony Smasher. Was it called Pony
Yeah,
Smasher?
yeah. He
did-
literally said this. Yeah.
he had one episode that he had this recorder that is kind of like the idea of recording raw audio, where he screamed into the microphone. He literally like screamed so loud, but the microphone caught everything, and the audio didn't reach.
It
like,
didn't clip.
the hyper. It didn't clip. Yeah, exactly. It didn't clip.
Yeah.
That was like insane. It's like raw audio. So if you have raw raw video and raw audio, then everything is just like post production. Then everything matters in post.
Yeah.
Like the production doesn't really matter.
Yeah, the push is very much towards post production, and stories are becoming more and more made or told in post.
Yeah.
And pre-production rather than production, right? Because things are becoming more and more flexible. You can change things in post if you have your planning well and your script ready and everything.
The flexibility.
Prepared. Yeah, you are more flexible in changing what you want and telling the story that you actually want as a director or as a filmmaker. And yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so I was saying that I saw this comparison video of Blackmagic versus Arri Alexa on YouTube, right? And the guy, he uploaded both footage onto YouTube in 1080p, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And these both are like so compressed that you can literally tell you cannot tell any difference. But that's what I was mentioning about the platform. So it really depends on what platform you're using for your films, because if you're shooting on Arri Alexa and at the end you're just gonna upload on YouTube, people put these comparison video, it's already compressed. You cannot tell the difference. I think the only time when you can truly see the difference is when you're looking at the raw image. Otherwise, you kind of lose the purpose. I think even sometimes if you shoot with the A7S III, let's say, with an Arri Alexa footage, if after it's compressed, you put it on YouTube, it's you can hardly see the difference. So it really depends on the platform you're using, or if you're looking for dynamic range, you're looking for, I don't know, something else. You really have to look at the output. What is the end of your video? If it's just gonna end up on iPhone, then it doesn't really matter, right? You really have to look at what's the end of this, and then you kind of choose your tool. That's how I feel.
Yeah, 100%. It depends on the medium is the message. Sorry, I think McLuhan have said this. The medium is the message, so the platform gets to decide how your message is told, right? So if you're shooting on Instagram, vertical is more suitable. If you're shooting on YouTube, for instance, then compression between high end and low end cameras is not going to make a big difference, I guess. And it depends on the platform, the medium that you're using. That determines the way you're going to tell your message and story.